Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Erica, and in today's video, I'm going to be taking part in Leanna Dalton's Beauty and the Soul Challenge. Leanna started these challenges on Instagram in January, and they're just amazing challenges, very thought-provoking, very introspective, and just wonderful to take part in. And I will have Leanna's YouTube channel and also her Instagram page linked in my description box. Please, if you guys haven't checked her out yet, please go check her out, subscribe, follow her. She is just amazing and one of my dearest friends. And this month's challenge is about what you would say to yourself if you could go back in time and speak to your younger self. What advice would you give to that younger self? What would you maybe warn them about? Or what kind of conversations would you have with your younger self to maybe, I don't know, just help your younger self out as you grow up and go into adulthood? And I was like, oh, this is perfect. Because there's a lot of things I would like to go back and chat with my younger self about. So I'm going to be doing a little get ready with me here today, putting some makeup on, some new to me makeup, some old to me makeup, just some fun things I wanted to try, some things I wanted to use again in this video. And of course, talking to you guys about what I would go back in time and talk to myself about if I could do that. And boy, wouldn't that be amazing? If we had a time machine, we could just go back in time and set ourselves down and say, what in the hell are you doing? All right, so my brows are done. I did use my Item Makeup brow pencil. This is the Brow Chow Ultra Fine Defining Brow Pencil, and this is in the shade, I think it's like dark brown. It's too dark for me. Deep brunette, it's too dark, but I ran out of my Cosmetics brow pencil that Allie sent to me, so I gotta find that and order it. And then I also did prime my eyelids in the P. Louise eyeshadow base in Rumor 01, as I always do. So, oops, I almost dropped that. So now I'm going to start off with my primer. And this is a new one to me. I have used this one other time just to try it out, because I was thinking about maybe giving it to my daughter, but I really liked it. This is the GRWM, let's see, turn this around. This is the Birthday Skin Primer. And it was pretty cheap, like a few bucks. And it reminds me of the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. It's kind of the same consistency, that like kind of light pink, and it's kind of got that smushy texture to it. So I'm going to put my primer on now, just kind of let it marinate on my face, and then I'll do my eye look. But one of the main things that I would go back and talk to myself about, if I could do that, which man, I wish I could do that, is my absolute lack of self-esteem, self-worth, and self-confidence, because I had very, very little of that when I was younger. I'm getting this in my hair. I always do that. And really what I've determined is that it really sparked or really kicked off when my parents got divorced. And I really blamed myself for their divorce. Well, I don't know that I blamed myself for their divorce necessarily. I mean, I think I kind of did. But really what I blamed myself for was his lack of contact with me. Because, and I know I've already done a video about this, but when they divorced when I was 10, I didn't really see him a whole lot through the years. And then when I was 18, 19 was when we just completely stopped talking to each other. I quit seeing him. And I really do like this primer. It's very affordable, and it's just basically just like the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. It feels really nice, and I think it does a pretty good job of like blurring my pores, making my skin look a little bit more even, I guess. Maybe taking a little bit of texture away. I don't know. We'll see as I put on my other base products. So now what I want to do is my eye look. And my dear friend and subscriber, Dawn, she and I were chatting in the comment section of my last video when I was playing with my multi-chrome shadows over different bases. And she said, what would be really cool is if you tried the bluey pink one over a dark purple base. So that's what I'm going to do today. So I do have this palette for my mattes. This is the Certify Tropical Wonders palette that my dear friend, my best friend, Steph, sent to me from the UK. And this is a beautiful rainbow matte palette. It's gorgeous. And I've used a few of the shades out of here, and they work really well. So I'm going to be using this shade here called Starling, this dark purple shade across my lids. And then I'm trying to decide if I want to use Honey Creeper or Firefish. I kind of just want to stick to more of the purples. And then I am going to be using this shimmer shade from VIP Glitznglam. This is called Pink Sky. I've used this in my last video, just showed you what it looked like over the top of a regular base and then a black base. So I'm excited to try that. Dawn, thank you so much for this amazing suggestion. So let's go into the shade right here called Starling. Let me grab a brush for that, and I'm just going to put this across both lids. But the issue with not having any self-esteem or self-confidence or self-worth is that I got myself into really not healthy relationships, and not just romantic relationships, but also not good or healthy friendships, because I just did, I guess I didn't really think I guess I didn't think I deserved good relationships. I don't know. Or I just wasn't assertive enough to, like, I guess, stand up for myself. I don't know. I don't really know how to word it. But, and unfortunately, it really followed me into my adulthood, because I've had some pretty ugly romantic relationships and also some pretty ugly friendships. And if I could go back in time and just sit myself down, 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old self down, and just say, you don't need to feel so horribly about yourself. You're a wonderful person. You're a beautiful child. And you got a lot going for you. And you got a lot of people in your life that really do love you and care about you. And yeah, it sucks that your dad walked out of your life. And it sucks that you don't have that male role model in your life anymore. But I did have other male role models in my life. I did, I had teachers and coaches and, I don't know, friends, dads, and things like that. But I just wanted my dad. You know what I mean? I really wanted my dad in my life. And because he wasn't in my life, I just felt like I wasn't worth anything. And it wasn't that I really, I don't remember ever really thinking that. You know what I mean? I don't remember thinking like, oh, my dad's not in my life, I'm a piece of crap. I don't remember thinking that, but that's how I behaved. That's how I treated myself in terms of who I would allow into my life. So obviously that was a huge theme, was just, I don't know, not having enough positive feelings about myself to really make proper decisions about who would be in my life. And the thing about me is that I've always been a very loving, caring, accepting person. I always want to see the good in everybody. And I used to be the type of person that would give somebody a million chances. If they do something to hurt me or upset me, I would have these big, what we call in my family, come to Jesus talks with them about it and give them another chance. And then they would continue to do the same crap. And I would let them back in, back in, back in. And that's another thing I would like to go back and talk to myself about, is you're wasting your time having these big conversations with people when they don't care about how they're treating you. Obviously, I don't feel like you need to have the same type of conversation with somebody. Have it one time. If they're doing something to hurt you or upset you, you can have it one time, maybe twice. And then if it keeps going, like, cut them loose, and I've really learned that now. It's taken me a long time, but I've really learned that now. And I know a lot of you are probably thinking, oh my God, you idiot. But I just wanted to be that person that was very loving and accepting and whatnot. And I still always want to be that person, but not at the expense of myself. And that's really what I've done a lot of times in my life. I've really allowed other people to jerk me around and really just make me feel less than. And, I know I've already said this, but if I could go back in time and just have this type of conversation with myself and just say, it's not worth your time or energy or emotion or effort, I think things would have been a lot different for me. Okay, this looks really funky. I know it does, and I do have some fallout down here, but we're going to keep going because this is going to turn out just fine. I know it will. So now what I'm thinking is, I don't know, should I do honey creeper or firefish? Hibiscus is really pretty too. Let's see, and I'm doing the blue and I think I'm going to go into firefish. Let me grab a little brush for that. I'm going to try this smaller little Beely brush here and see if I can blend it out good enough with this one. I might switch brushes, we'll see. And, part of the problem too with me is that people have taken my niceness and my love and my kindness, I guess, or I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Just my positiveness that I have in me. They've taken that as stupidity and weakness. And I'm really not stupid, and I'm really not weak. But because I've had a lot of relationships with narcissistic people, I have been called a narcissist magnet by friends and family. And that used to really bother me and really kind of piss me off. But they're right. I mean, I have been a narcissist magnet in my life, absolutely. But I will say that eventually I do see people for who they are, and I will cut them out of my life. I have been very charmed by narcissistic people because they're very charming. I mean, narcissists don't typically come off as who they really are in the beginning. When you first meet a narcissistic person, sociopathic narcissistic person, they don't really come off as the manipulative, controlling jerks that they are, or they wouldn't be able to have relationships in their life, right? So they're very good at disguising that part of themselves in the beginning. They're very, like I said, charming. They do what's called love bombing, which I'd never heard that phrase until recently. I was reading an article about narcissistic friends, and I thought about doing a whole video about that article that I read because it was so good. And one of the things they talked about in that article is that narcissists love bomb you. Basically just kind of shower you with affection and attention, maybe like lavish gifts, you know? Not that if you're a gift giver, you're a narcissist, but I think, sometimes people will just kind of bombard you with gifts like right away when you first start being friends with them and you're like, whoa. And they're doing that because they want to suck you in so that they can manipulate and control you, because they do think you're stupid and weak. And I am kind of one of those people that I think narcissists see coming from 10 miles away and just want to grab on because they think, ooh, I got a live one here. I got a sucker. I can manipulate, control, make her do what I want make her do what I want her to do for me, to make me feel powerful and great and wonderful. And I've fallen prey to that. And it's not easy to see that. It's not easy for me to admit that. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing to admit that, but it's the truth. And like I said, I think it just all boils down to not having the self-confidence and self-worth that if I'd had it as a kid, that definitely would not have progressed into my adulthood. And I do want to take the edge of that off. So I think I am. Should I go into Waterfall, that white shade? Or should I go into Hibiscus? I think I am going to go to Hibiscus just to kind of, take that edge away from that Firefish shade. Get that, as much of that off as I can, and just kind of go around the edge there just to kind of tone that down. And I think what I was going to say earlier, I forgot to mention this, I kind of got off on a different tangent. But because I've had so many narcissistic people in my life, what they do is they try to make you feel like you're crazy. Like when you do have these come to Jesus talks with these people, they try to make you think that you're nuts. They do what's called gaslighting. They'll be like, well, that's not true. I didn't do that to you. That's your problem. Well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but that's not what I was doing. And it's like, it is what you were doing. And so for a long time, because I would have these types of conversations and get those types of responses back, I would think that I was crazy. They're right, I'm crazy. I'm seeing this completely wrong. I'm being way too sensitive. That's something I've been called my whole life. You're way too sensitive. And so I would be like second guessing myself or not really listening to my own thoughts and feelings about certain people in my life, certain relationships in my life. And because of that, like I've said a few times already, I've just put up with so much crap from people. And I would like to also go back and talk to myself about the fact that you don't really need to have these big, meaningful conversations with people like that, because number one, they're not going to listen to you. They don't care. They don't care how you feel. And you are not crazy. You're feeling these things and having these reactions to things for a reason, because they're not good people. You shouldn't have them in your life. So I did finally stop having these kind of conversations with people because it was going nowhere, and they weren't changing their behavior because they don't see themselves the way they should see themselves. If they saw themselves the way they should, they would change. And I do think that there are people in the world that can change, absolutely. if they really want to and they really see the need for that. But I do think that most people who behave this way, they don't change because they don't think they're doing anything wrong. But I did finally stop having these types of conversations, and I would just cut these people out of my life. Absolutely just cut them out. Done. And, you know, what's interesting too is I have other people in my life, other friends and things like that, who, you know, I would share what was kind of going on with these relationships throughout the years. I'd talk to them about it, and they'd say, you didn't go off on him? Like you didn't just lose it on him and tell him exactly how you feel? And I can't believe you didn't do that. You're such a wimp. And I'm like, okay, great, I'm a wimp, but there's no point. There's just no point. I'm not going to waste my time. I'd rather go bash my head into a brick wall, because that's basically what I would be doing. You know, that's what you feel like you're doing anyway. So, you know, just going back in time and saying to myself, when you see that this is going south, get out. Don't try to give them 400 chances and make it better. Just be done. I'm going to go back into Firefish just a little bit, add a little bit of that back just to kind of blend that a little bit better with that darker purple shade. What was that called? Starling. Yes. Clarice Starling. My favorite movie. But, you know, a lack of self-confidence really can do a lot of damage to someone's life. Really do a lot of damage. I think that's where a lot of problems start to surface in someone's life when they have low self-esteem and low self-confidence. I mean, I think, you know, addiction can come from that. I think, you know, being in abusive relationships comes from that. Absolutely. I know I've been in 2 or 3 pretty abusive relationships, romantic relationships, and it all stemmed from me having just no self-confidence and me almost feeling like I deserved to be treated that way. And absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that is something I would love to go back to my, I don't know, high school self and say, you do not deserve to be treated that way. I don't care what anybody says to you or how you feel about yourself. You do not deserve this, period. I think that looks okay. I do have some stuff I need to clean up down here, but let's go into Pink Sky. This beautiful shimmer shade from VIP Glitznglam. Gorgeous. Okay, let me grab a brush. And I don't think I'm going to spray this, because I remember Pia, Makeup by PW, I'll link her channel in my description box. She said, don't spray it, just put it on your lid. So that's what I'm going to do today. This is kind of flaky though. But, you know, I just have my primer on. I can clean this up. Okay, so let's go ahead and put the, oh man. Yes. Dawn, you're a freaking genius for reminding me or suggesting to me that I put this over the top of a purple base. Oh my God, this is amazing. I look like a disco ball. Another thing that I would love to go back and talk to myself about is paying attention to red flags. That is something that just, I think about things from my past, and I think about all the red flags that I ignored, and I literally could just slap myself, you know, really, I could. Because there were so many times in my life where I have heard that red flag voice in my head telling me, you know, bing, 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 danger, Will Robinson, don't do this. Or stay away from that person, or stay away from the situation, whatever. Not that I did a lot of bad stuff, because I really didn't do a lot of bad stuff, but I did some, you know, just stupid stuff with the wrong people. And I do think that a lot of that is just childhood. You know, I think we all did dumb stuff. I mean, maybe I'm speaking too broadly here, but I do think that most of us did some dumb stuff. And that's all relative, I guess. But I just really did not listen to that red flag voice in my head. And I'm telling you, if I had, things would have been a lot different for me. I would have avoided a lot of really stupid things. And yeah, I'm getting a lot of shadow on my face, but I'll clean it up. And I do believe, and this is just my personal belief system, I will never come on my channel and preach to you guys about how I believe or how you should believe. But I do believe that that voice I would hear in my head, that I still hear in my head at times, is God. And God can be whatever you choose God to be. You know, whatever your higher power is, that's totally fine. This is not me telling you what you should believe in or who you should believe in or whatever. But I do really believe that that was the voice of God saying, hey, don't do that. And I would ignore it all the time. And going back to what I said earlier too, is because I just didn't have that self-confidence or self-esteem, and I would allow people to convince me that I was crazy and didn't know what I was talking about or didn't know what I was feeling. You know, like I remember somebody even saying to me, "Are you going to believe me or your own eyes?" What? You know, if I had just listened to that voice, oh man, it's hard. It's hard for me to even think about that sometimes because I was so naive and so stupid and so wrapped up in my own wanting to please other people and wanting to be what everybody else wanted me to be. And man, I just really kind of, you know, just made some really stupid mistakes, stupid decisions. So I did clean up my under eye area, and now I'm going to put on my foundation. And I just got this from GRWM. Well, I didn't just get it. I got it a couple months ago. I'm so bad about using makeup sometimes. This is the GRWM Skin Finite, Hydrating Foundation. And this is in the shade Nude. And I got this because I have the mattifying version of this. I don't know if it's exactly the same foundation, but Steph, not your basic Steph, my best friend, she said, you need to get the hydrating version of that because I think you'd like it better. So I'm going to try this, and it's just got a little pump here. So I'm just going to pump a little bit of this on the back of my hand and put this on my face and then smooth it out with a sponge. I really would like to try using a brush again, but I've used it I used a brush a couple times, foundation brush, and I don't like how it looks. It just gets super streaky on me for some reason. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Anyway, but yeah, the red flag thing, it like almost makes my skin crawl sometimes when I think about the things I felt about certain people or certain situations in my life, and I knew it was wrong, and I was like, well, it's fine, I'll just do it anyway, and then been like, you freaking dummy, you know, just felt so stupid. And I am using my little sponge I got from Temu here, which I will not be doing any more Temu videos. Anyway, it's a whole nother video topic, but I remember my mom and I talking about that before she passed away, like the red flag warning voice, the voice of God that you hear in your head telling you not to do or to do something, whatever. And I remember my mom telling me, she said, you know, what would be so amazing is if people could learn from other people's mistakes. And she said, no, nobody really ever does that. Sometimes maybe, but it's pretty rare. And I really do like this foundation. It's pretty, really pretty. Yeah, pretty glowy. I don't know how the combination of that primer and this foundation is going to work for me today, because I get a little oily in my T-zone. Like, okay, this is pretty dewy looking, pretty hydrating looking. Anyway, but she said the thing is that nobody really learns from other people's mistakes because they have this attitude of, well, that's them. That's not going to happen to me. That's happened to them, but it's not going to happen to me. And that's so true. And she said that you can sit and beat yourself up over it forever if you want, but it's not going to change anything. You did or didn't do something. And if you learn from it, great. And hopefully you don't continue to repeat it. And that's something else that is such a big part of what I'd like to go back and talk to myself about too, is stop repeating the same mistakes, you know, because I did do that, especially with romantic relationships. I did finally get it right, but, you know, I would just pick these guys that were such boneheads, and also that I could fix. You know, I was going to be the fixer. I'm going to fix this guy. You know, he's got all these problems, and I'm going to just jump in and fix it. Barf. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. You know, most of these people didn't want to be fixed anyway because they thought they were great the way they were, and they weren't. They were total just ugh. Anyway. But I can remember having that same conversation with my kids too, is like, you know, trying to, you know, just help guide them in certain situations. And I still try to guide them in certain situations, even though they're adults. I still try to, what I do is I try to suggest things to them rather than tell them what I think they should or shouldn't do. I'll say, I have a suggestion for you. Would you like to hear it? And if they want to hear it, then I tell them. And if they don't want to hear it, then I don't tell them. I'm going to put a little bit more of this on, because I just feel like it, I don't know. I like it. It's just, I don't know. I just feel like I need to put a little bit more on. And, you know, they're pretty cool about that. You know, they like listening to my suggestions. They don't always go with my suggestions. And something that my kids and I well, my son and I basically, I think, or no, I think my daughter and I had this conversation too. But something else that kind of along with wish we could learn from other people's mistakes. Something else I used to always talk to my kids about too that I really learned as I got older. It was when they were like in grade school, well, not grade school, middle school, high school, they would get so upset about certain things, you know, like with their friends or school or whatever. And it was like this big, gigantic mess problem in their life. And really, you know, as an adult looking onto their situations, I would be like, this really isn't that serious, you guys. But at that time, you know, and in that age of your life, you're first of all, you're super self-centered, egocentric person. And everything is this huge, big, blown up deal, right? And I would say to them, it's really not that big of a deal. I know you think it is, and I'm not trying to diminish how you feel about something. But I'm telling you right now, when you get to be an adult, you're going to look back on this time of your life and think, God, why did I waste so much time being so upset about that? And I have had this conversation with my daughter and my son both, with them telling me, Mom, you were so right. Some of those things mattered not at all. And I'm like, I know. And I just kind of think that kind of goes hand in hand with, you know, wish we could learn from other people's mistakes, and also wishing that we could have some, I don't know, some objectivity about the things that we're going through at different times in our life to understand that it's really not that serious, right? I do like how this looks. I think it looks really pretty. I like the finish of it, and I think it's the right shade. Yes, I mean, it kind of helped that I had the other matte shade, or the other matte foundation with the same shade. And I knew that one worked. So now, where is my concealer? I'm going to use the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Concealer in Ivory, which I always use. Oh, I love it. And just, you know, put this under my eyes and whatever on my face. Part and parcel to this part of this video too is that I wish I had listened more to my mother. My mom, I swear, was a freaking genius. She just knew everything. She really did. And I can remember when I was like in middle school and high school, even into college, thinking she was an absolute moron. You know, I'm like, oh my God, my mom is so stupid. She knows nothing. And my mom knew everything. And when I finally figured that out, I remember calling her, crying on the phone. I think my daughter was like, oops, I have a little fuzz on my face or something. I think my daughter was like a year old. And I can remember calling her one day in tears saying, I am so sorry that I didn't listen to you more and that I didn't believe you. And oh man, you are a genius, Mom. And I remember her saying, I knew I was going to get this phone call at some point. And she did, because, you know, most of the advice my mom gave me was spot on. And that's something else I would love to go back and say to my younger self, like, listen to her. You might think she's a moron, but she's not. You need to listen to her because she knows exactly what she's talking about. Because, you know, she'd been through it already. And I think my kids probably think I'm an idiot too most of the time. But I do see my kids listen to me, you know, I do. And so maybe I was able to stop that stupid cycle with my kids, you know, because I do feel like they listen to me pretty well. And I've been pretty lucky, you know, they're pretty easy kids. We haven't really had any major, you know, incidences happen as they have been growing up. And I didn't really have a lot of major incidences either. But, you know, just when I would go through things with my narcissistic friends or relationships, my mom would just be like, listen, this is what's going on, and this is what you should be doing, and this is what you need to cut this person out, or this or that, or whatever. And I'd be like, whatever, she's an idiot. I don't know. But man, I wish I would have listened to my mom more, because she really did know exactly what she was talking about. Absolutely. Something else, and this isn't really that easy for me to talk about, but I want to be honest here and really be, you know, open about what I would like to go back and talk to my former self about. Okay, I just take a minute here. I've mentioned before that I went through a pretty ugly divorce with someone that I had absolutely no business, my hair, being married to or being in a relationship with. And he was a drug addict who had been clean, he said, for several years when we met. Now, I don't know if I can believe any of that, because he lied to me about a lot. He had a very extensive criminal background that I didn't really know much about. I mean, I knew he'd had some drug charges and stuff when he was younger, but I mean, it was a little bit more serious than that. And I don't really want to get into all that. I mean, you know, he didn't murder or anybody, but I don't know, just not a great, not a great past. We were together for 4 years and only married for not even 2 years. And I kicked him out of here, and I had to get a restraining order. I mean, it was horrible because he got kind of violent and, you know, threatening and things like that. And I did shield my kids a lot from what was going on. I'm going to use this in my lower waterlines. This is the Nonny Stay Put Waterproof Eyeliner in Fixed on Plum. I just thought the purple would look nice. But he stalked me and the kids for quite a long time, and ended up trying to break into our house while we were all asleep in the middle of the night through my daughter's bedroom window. And it was awful. And he was arrested and went to prison for a couple of years for that. And I have no idea where he is now. I know he went back to prison for drug charges and whatnot. But I've always prided myself on being a good mother. It's okay, I can get through this. And putting my kids first. And I did not do that with this particular relationship. I mean, I did. Eventually, I kicked him out of here. But there were a lot of red flags going on in that relationship that I didn't want to see, or I felt like I could fix. I mean, that was more so I could fix him. I could make it better. And after we split up, which has been over 10 years now, I spent years, and I'm not kidding you, years, just beating myself up in my head over being in that relationship, to the point where I could, and I'm not kidding, I could hardly even look at myself in the mirror. It was awful. It was so awful. I can't even, I don't know. It's really hard for me to talk about it, but I want to be honest. And I would love to go back in time and talk to myself about, oops, let me grab this brush. I'm going to go into Firefish. Talk to myself about giving myself some grace around that. Because it really took a toll on me. I was so angry and so embarrassed and so humiliated with myself, and so just so pissed off at myself for being in that relationship, and how selfish I felt like I was for ever even being in it. It was just, oh man, a very hard thing to face. It's still hard for me to even think about it or talk about it. But I have gotten myself out of that circular pit of, like, you know, that circular conversation in my head about, you know, you suck, you're horrible, you suck, you're horrible, you know, I finally turned that off, but it took a long time. And it really, what really turned it off for me was my kids. And I allowed them to have a voice around that too. I allowed them to really let me know exactly how they felt about that whole situation. Because, you know, he scared them. He was on drugs and he scared them. And he was not nice sometimes. And it was just, I don't know. I don't need to go into all of it, but it was horrible. I'm just very grateful for them for forgiving me and for giving me a lot of grace around that, which helped me to find the grace that I needed for myself, to forgive myself for it, because it was awful. Where's my brush? Oh, there it is. I'm going to go into Starling now and put a little bit of this towards the outer edge here. I mean, I do think that's, I don't know how to say this. I do think that some of it was healthy. Like, some of the negative talk in my head was a little healthy, maybe for me, to, like, really make me understand that, like, this can't go on anymore in your life. You got to make a huge change. You can't keep allowing these type of men into your life. You got to stop it. You got to stop this now and never do it again. But I also think that I don't know. I mean, there was a point in time where I didn't know if I was going to be here for much longer. I just didn't know that I deserved life. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to talk about. But it's true. That's how I felt. And I'm really glad that I was able to, like I said, I don't mean to keep repeating myself, but that I was able to get out of that whole situation and just move on with my life and find love and happiness again. But I didn't think that was going to happen. I really didn't think I was ever going to be in love or happy again. And I was like, fine, done. I don't deserve that. I really didn't think I deserved it. I thought, I don't deserve this. I'm horrible about choosing mates. I'm all done. So I don't know. It would just be nice to be able to go back and talk to myself like 10 years ago and just say, listen, yeah, this sucks. And you did make a mistake, huge mistake. But you can't sit here and totally destroy how you feel about yourself, because it's a new day, it's a new dawn, and you're going to move on with your life and you're going to be okay. And I just, man, I owe my kids a ton for helping me through that. So today I am going to use some bronzer. This is the Iconic London. What is this called? The Ultimate Bronzing Powder in medium. I've used this before on my channel. And I'm just going to go light-handed here. Can I do that? I think so. Now let's make this maybe a little bit lighter, because this is getting pretty heavy. Geez Louise. And I didn't anticipate this getting so heavy, but it's gotten pretty heavy. One of the things that I regret the most in my life, and I've mentioned this before too, is that I did not get my master's degree. Ugh, I could just smack myself for that. And I did take the graduate record exam, but I took the wrong test and I got a parking ticket that I still get bills for. And just out of matter of principle, I don't pay the damn thing. And it doesn't get reported to my credit or anything. Like, it's not showing up on like my credit reports or anything. But what happened is that I was a senior in college. It was right before I graduated from college. And my stupid advisor, who had zero brains in her head, I swear to God, I mean, well, I need to be nice. She was a newer advisor. But anyway, she had me take the wrong GRE. I should have taken the psychology focused one. I took like the general one. So I would have had to take it again anyway. Stupid. But anyway, I went to the University of Oregon. I went to Western Oregon University for college. But anyway, they had the test at University of Oregon here where I live. And I went to the test, and you had to be in the building the entire time throughout the test. You couldn't leave. And at that time, we had these, we still have them, parking meters. And I think the most you could put in there, the most amount of time you could get was like 3 hours. So halfway through the test, my meter ran out, and I, needed to go out to the car or out to the meter and put more money in, and they wouldn't let me leave. So I have this parking ticket that I will not pay. I'm not paying it ever. And that was what? I was 21. So 27 years ago. I still, like, I don't know, a couple times a year, I get bills for that parking ticket. And I'm like, no way in hell I'm going to pay that. No way. And I'm going bonkers on my nose with my bronzer. So I'm going to try to tone that down a little bit. No, not doing that. But yeah, I mean, just so stupid that I did not get my master's degree. I really wanted to become a child therapist, like a play therapist, work with abused kids, like in the court system. That's really what I wanted to do. And I don't know. I found out I'd taken the wrong test. I flunked it. I missed the cutoff by like 3 points. Parking ticket. I'm like, I'm not getting my master's. Screw this. Stupid. I was 21 thinking I knew everything. And then, met my kids' dad and had Sydney and then had Braden, and then my life goes on. And then you just, next thing you know, you're 48 and you haven't gotten your master's degree. But I would love to go back in time and talk to my 20-something-year-old self and say, sister, go get your master's. Please do that. Please figure out a way to do that. Don't get yourself all weird about your pride. Just go do it. So stupid. So yeah, that's my wish. Another thing I've always wanted to do is write a book. I've always wanted to write a book. I'm a pretty decent writer, and I'm not like trying to brag or anything. I can write okay. I mean, would it ever get published? Probably not. Would anybody else read it? Probably not. But I would still like to write the damn book. And I've started one. I've got like, I don't know, maybe how many chapters now? 5 or 6 chapters. I mean, I haven't worked on it in years, but I would love to do that. I would love to go back to my former self and say, write it. Just sit down and write it. I mean, I could still say that to myself. I still do say it to myself, but I wish I could, when I started it, I would have just kept going. Just had that encouraging talk with myself of keep going. You can do this. You can do it. I promise. Now I'm going to apply my blush. This is the Milani Rose Powder Blush in 13 Wild Rose. And I'm pretty sure I've used this on my channel before too, right? I think so. Grab a brush. The bottom line here is I am who I am for a reason, and I'm glad I am who I am. Absolutely glad that I am me. And there's parts of my personality that I don't ever want to change. That loving, caring, accepting, wanting to see the good in everyone part of myself. I don't want to change that. I love that about myself. But it has gotten me into some situations with people that I should not have been in because of my niceness and my care for others. And, you know, that's something I've been teased about my whole life is how, you know, I mean, people here have called me Laura Ingalls. There's a reason for that. And I get it. And that doesn't bother me necessarily. I mean, whatever. But that's just who I am. I can't change that part of me because I do really like that. It's just, I have to be a little bit guarding of it too. You know, I have to turn the narcissist magnet off and understand that, like, just because somebody comes at me really loving, love bombing, charming, I do have to kind of like go, well, is this real or is this narcissism coming at me? And fortunately, I have been able, as I've gotten older, to, you know, like get these people out of my life and also to stop allowing those types of people into my life. But I mean, up until kind of recently, I was still letting that happen. And now I'm like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. And that doesn't make me a bad person. It makes me smart. And I do feel like I'm a smart, strong person. And so I can't allow my niceness and my kindness to turn off my intelligence and my strength. I have to be in my strength and in my intelligence too, and also be nice and caring and loving. Now I'm going to put on a highlighter out of this little bad boy. This was sent to me from Teresa Starship. We did a Lucky Charm group collab in March for St. Patrick's Day, almost said Valentine's Day. And I think what I'll use is this one right here. This has got a really pretty kind of like light pink shift to it. And I've used these two shades. I haven't used this one yet, but I've used these two and they're really pretty. This is a really nice little highlighter palette. Thank you, Teresa, for sending this to me. I love it. So let's go ahead and put this right here. So, you know, I don't necessarily want to change myself, kind of. Just, I don't know. Just encourage myself to believe in myself, to love myself, to trust my own instincts about people and things, to not allow my parents' divorce to make me feel so crappy about myself, and to just be in my own power and not give it away. And I know Leanna did another challenge about taking back our personal power, which I thought was so amazing. I mean, Leanna's challenges are so awesome. But I don't know. I just wish I could go back and really, like I said, just put my arms around myself and say, you're doing okay. And you're a lovely, wonderful, amazing, smart, incredible individual. And please believe that about yourself. And don't let anybody, no matter who they are in your life, don't let them take that away from you. Ever. Ever. You deserve more than that. Okay, so I actually, wait a minute. Let me get a little brush here. Let's put this in my inner corner too. And then I think what I'll do is I'll go off camera. I will go off camera and do my eyeliner and my mascara. Oops, I'm making a huge mess with this inner corner shade. Just this brush I think is a little bit too big. My eyeliner, my mascara, and my lipstick, and dry my hair. And I'll come back because this video is going to be way too long if I don't go and deal with this other stuff and wrap things up. I'm back. Finished look. I love how this look turned out. I really want to say a huge thank you to Dawn, my wonderful friend and subscriber, for suggesting that I pop this shade, the Multichrome Shimmer Pink Sky from VIP Glitznglam. I'm having so much fun with these shadows. Over the top of a purple matte. And love the purple matte I chose out of the Certified Tropical Wonders palette. So happy that Steph sent this to me. Really fun all matte palette, and the shadows in here work so well. They're very pigmented and they blend out beautifully. Really fun to play with these this palette and that shade today. So fun. And let me show you just a few things I used in my finished look that you didn't see me do on camera. I did use this on my lips. This is one I got from Temu in some PR. This is the Dragon Renee Punk Style Liquid Lippy. It's kind of pinky purple shade. I really like how this works and how it looks. Feels nice too. For my upper lid, I use the GRWM felt tip liner in black. It's got this cute little gem on the cap. Really nice, very affordable, and worked great. First time I ever used it today. Really nice. And then for my mascara, I did use the Nobu Cosmetics Nobu Lash Mascara. I know I've already said this, but I am going to use this until it's all the way gone, and I'll have to get myself some more because absolutely amazing mascara. And of course, I want to say a huge heartfelt thank you to Leanna for creating another amazing challenge. The Beauty and the Soul challenges are just so wonderful to take part in. And I know I said this at the beginning, but I'm going to say it again. I'll have Leanna's channel and her Instagram page linked in my description box. Please, if you haven't yet, go check her out. If you're digging her, subscribe and follow her and take part in these challenges. You don't have to be into makeup. If you're not into makeup, but you're into something else, fashion, painting, I don't know, stamp collecting, whatever you're into, you can still take part in these challenges, which I think is so cool that it includes everybody, not just people that are into makeup, because not everybody's into makeup. But yeah, just really interesting to spend time thinking about the different topics that she comes up with to formulate a video or a look or whatever. Just really interesting. And, you know, I do wish we could go back in time and talk to our former selves. I really do. That would be really nice if we could just kind of like give that encouragement and that support to our younger selves, some advice, some guidance. You know, I guess I am who I am for a reason, and I do really like who I am as a person, but there are just things I wish I could have avoided. There's just things I wish that I could have sidestepped. And that's something that, you know, it's just unfortunate that we can't go back and undo some things. But I've learned so much about myself throughout my life, of course, and just what I really want out of my life, and also how to love myself and encourage myself, support myself, and be very kind to myself, as well as being very loving and kind to others. I think it's just kind of a balancing act. You know what I mean? You have to decide what you want in your life, what you don't want in your life, and feel comfortable about both of those things, and understand that the things that you do have in your life are what you want, and the things that you don't want in your life are what you don't want. And there's nothing wrong with that, that you're not being selfish, you're not being, or maybe you are being selfish, but I think it's okay to be selfish. It's selfish in a good way, you know, taking care of yourself, nurturing yourself, and giving yourself things that are meant to build you up and improve your life and, I don't know, enrich your life versus the opposite, you know? And that's something that I'm glad at age 48, I can say that I have let go of so many negative things from my past, but also have retained the good things about myself that I really do love about myself. I've been able to hold on to that. Maybe just in a smarter, stronger, more appropriate and more feasible way, I guess I would say. And I want to know what you guys would go back and say to yourselves if you could do that. If you could get in a time machine, go back in time and talk to your younger selves, what would you say? Let's talk about that in the comment section. And of course, I want to know what you guys think of this look. If you have any of these products, what you think of them. Maybe if you're thinking about picking these products up after seeing me use them, I don't know, we can chat about all of that in the comment section too. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your lives to sit down and watch this video. If you're new here and you enjoyed what you saw, please consider subscribing, smash the like button, and please comment down below in the comment section because I love to chat with you guys there. And if you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. I cannot wait to see you guys again in my next video, but in the meantime, please take very good care of yourself, be well, safe, happy, and I will see you soon. Bye!
Drop it.